Hi everyone. I'm solving this year's Advent of Code puzzles using GitHub Copilot, so I'm not coding on my own. But instead, I just type comments and let Copilot complete the code. So let's dive right into it. I start by importing Lodash and FS. So I have some common algorithms and can read files. And then I type the comments to read the sample and input files for today's puzzle. Today's day 7, and we need to read an array of comma-separated values. Next is I write function part 1 and call it. That's how I structure my code every day, is writing a part 1 and part 2 function. And I start by reading input. And as you can see, Copilot not only auto-completes code, but it also suggests comments. So sometimes I don't even have to write the whole comments, but can accept Copilot's comments, which Copilot then uses itself to generate the code. Now I'm describing the crab movement pattern to Copilot. So moving by 1 in each direction costs 1 fuel. And to verify the code, I just calculate the costs to position 2 as on the sample page. So let's see what we get. Okay, so instead of using a reducer, Copilot chose to do a for loop, but that's fine. We print the result and run it. Yep, so the costs are 37. That's correct. And yeah, by the way, that's not the first time I solved day 7. I've already solved it once and pushed the code to my GitHub repo, which you can actually follow if you're interested in the code generated for the other days. But for the screencast, I wanted to start again from scratch so that you can see how this approach works. And funny enough is the code generated now on the second run is different than the code from the first run. So apparently Copilot is not a very consistent programmer. Okay, now we try to solve the puzzle itself. I'll calculate the min and max of the input positions and tell Copilot to find the target with the lowest fuel costs. Yep. And now we print the output. And let's see. Oh, we have a compile error. Oh yeah, that's because min and max return from Lodash can be undefined. So we have to manually add some default values. But the result is correct. No, it's not correct. Actually, it's wrong. So what went wrong? Yeah, it used the wrong cost function. So Copilot calculated the distance to position 2 all the time. So we should fix this. Yeah, I typed the errors inside the code because when I did the screencast, I didn't think of doing a voiceover, but I think it's clearer for you if I explain what I'm doing. So now actually I just let Copilot regenerate the code, and this time it looks better. Yeah, it's calculating the distance to the current running position. Okay, let's check again. Yeah, now it's correct. So the minimal position, as we know from the sample, is 2, and the cost to get to the minimal position is 37 fuel units. So it's time to change to my own puzzle input and run it again. And here we have our answer. And yeah, it's the correct answer. I've already done today's puzzle. So it's time to start part 2. Okay, so what I'm doing here now is I'm trying the same approach that worked on day 5, where I told Copilot that part 2 is similar to part 1, but just with a different calculation function. So let's see if this works this time. So I'm describing the difference between part 2 and 1 to Copilot. So in part 1, the cost function was just the absolute distance, and now it increases with each step. So we have to basically sum up the numbers from 1 to n for n steps. And now let's see, okay, when auto-completing, the comment already was wrong, so I'm fixing this. I'm allowed to do this because it's just a comment, so I'm not coding at all. And let's see what it does. So autocomplete, no, it's wrong. It's using the same cost function as before. Okay, retrying again, still the wrong cost function. And what I will do now is similar to what I did on a different day, is I'm refactoring the cost function into a separate function and then tell Copilot to use the cost function. Because for some reason, if you do a part 1, then in part 2, sometimes Copilot insists on reusing the algorithm from part 1. So no matter what you write, it doesn't let you convince it to use a different approach. So I'm describing the cost function right now. We take a start and target position, calculate the distance, and then sum up the values between 1 and the distance. Okay, that was totally wrong, obviously. So we have to tell Copilot that distance is not an input parameter, but is calculated. And just to make sure we say that it's the absolute distance. Okay, It's still wrong. Why? Well, why is this? Yeah, Copilot is not considering that you can go backwards. So it's not, it's only going from start to target. And that's where it sometimes gets quite tedious. So you have to reformulate and reformulate until Copilot finally understands what you want it to do. And so far, I was always successful, except for day 6. Yeah, there on part 2 I gave up. Copilot was just too stubborn and refused to implement my algorithm, so I hand coded it. Here you can see that you can open a Copilot window and choose suggested solutions. But yeah, none of the suggestions was correct, so I try reformulating again and hope for the best. As you can see, I actually didn't change much. I'm just guessing. Yeah, and now I gave up and gave Copilot another hint inside the function body to calculate the absolute distance first. And then the auto-completed code was correct. And for some reason, it also didn't autocomplete the sum using the Gauss formula. It just used the for loop. So maybe that's a performance problem later on, but we'll see. So now I'm telling Copilot to use the refactor.cost function. And yay, it used the cost function and everything is fine. We print the result again and verify against the sample on the AOC side. Okay, that's weird. Oh no, yeah, I was using my own input. I should switch to the sample. So again, yes, and that's correct because 206 is the cost for position 2 because the new optimal position is position 5. So we'll do the same as above and tell Copilot to calculate the new optimal position using the new cost function. And since Copilot already wrote the part 1 code itself, this should actually work fine. It also auto-completed the optional default parameters, 0 for min and max, and the rest should be simple for Copilot because it just has to basically copy and paste the code from above. We print the result, run it, and check the output. Yes, and that's correct. It's position 5 with fuel costs of 168. So all that's left for me to do now is to use my own sample input and hope that the cost function has enough performance and doesn't need to be optimized. And yay, it worked fine. And here we have our answer, which is correct. And I got 2 stars, or actually Copilot got 2 stars for today's puzzle. Well done. Okay, I hope you liked this video, and as you can see, Copilot is a pretty good tool for every programmer. It's very useful. I use it at work as well, and If you want to see if Copilot can finish AOC this year, then check out my GitHub repo in the link below. Thanks and bye.